Hyunjin lived alone in a narrow apartment above a shuttered forest, where the hallway lights flickered like a weak pulse at dusk. He told himself the silence was peaceful, yet every night, it seemed to breathe. The first sign was small. His keys were never where he left them. The second was worse. A glass in the sink would appear rinsed, dried, placed neatly beside the bowl he had used the day before. Hyunjin began checking every room as if he were a guest in his own life. Then the notes started to appear. They were folded into corners, tucked beneath the sugar jar, slipped inside books he had not opened in months. Always the same handwriting, thin, slanted, familiar enough to make his hands go cold. Don't forget to eat. Close the window before you sleep. You always leave the light on in the hall. He knew that handwriting, or he wanted to know it. It belonged to the one he had lost, the one whose name he could not say without feeling the room tilt around him. He kept the notes in a drawer beside his bed, lined up like evidence in a case no one else believed existed. On the third night, he heard singing. It came from the kitchen at first, soft as a memory underwater. A voice moving through the melody of Long for You, low and aching, not quite whole. Hyunjin stood in the dark, one hand on the wall, listening as the voice rose and broke and returned again, as if someone were trying to remember how to exist through sound alone. He followed it from room to room. The song drifted through the apartment, through the bathroom where the mirror had fogged without reason, through the bedroom where the air felt suddenly crowded. When he opened the closet, the singing stopped. Inside, hanging from his coat pocket, was another note. You're getting closer. By morning, Hyunjin was certain of three things. He had not written the notes. He had not sung the song. And he was no longer alone. He stayed awake the next night with the lights on, waiting for proof. At 2:17, the cup on his desk slid a few inches across the wood. At 2:18, the framed photograph on the shelf faced the wall. At 2:19, the radio snapped on by itself and the apartment filled with a voice he knew so deeply it felt carved inside his bones. It was his own voice, not speaking, singing. Hyunjin stumbled backward, breath locked in his throat, as the song unfolded from the radio in a trembling, intimate whisper. The voice was his, yes, but there was another thread beneath it, a second presence leaning into the melody, shaping it. He ran to the mirror. For one impossible second, he saw her behind him, not as a ghost exactly, not as a woman made of light. She was something assembled from his longing, the curve of a smile he had replayed 1,000 times, the shape of a hand he had once held in the dark, the outline of a face stitched together from every refusal to let go. Then the image cracked. Hyunjin woke on the floor with no memory of falling. The apartment was silent again, except for the slow ticking of the stove clock. On his chest lay a final note, written in that same familiar hand. If you keep remembering me, I can stay. He stared at it until the words blurred. Somewhere behind the walls, something answered. A soft knock, then another. Not from outside, from inside the apartment, where no door should have led. And when Hyunjin turned toward the bedroom, he understood the terrible truth. It had never been a ghost returning to him. It had been his mind, desperate and wounded, rebuilding her from fragments of absence, from songs, from handwriting, from hunger. But memory is a door that does not know when to stay closed. In the dark, the singing began again, and this time it was not alone.